Hey, toy fans! Welcome back to the Spectra Creative Channel with me, your host, Scott ToyGuru Neitlich. I've been in the toy industry for the last 20 years, a little bit more than that, as both a brand manager, a toy designer, and a collector. I'm one of those rare people in the industry who also collects toys as a hobby. It's how I got into making toys, because I love toys. I love collecting toys. And a few days ago, well, maybe last week, I uploaded this video here called Why at Walmart, not specifically about Walmart in general, but just about why product we look at as collector product winds up at big box retailers. And a lot of the comments from this video was actually asking why I didn't address the fact that the pegs are empty. And I said, well, that's going to take a video all to itself. So let's do that. Let's talk about why pegs are empty at retail, especially, let's say, for a collector product when we go in and, whether you're getting there first thing in the morning, waiting outside for the doors to open, or you're going, during your lunch break or on your way home from work, or whatever it is, whatever your reason for, being on the toy hunt is, there's nothing more frustrating than getting there and finding out that there's a there's a place that's supposed to be for the toys that you're looking for. They should be there. There's little tags. They say how much it is. There might be one or two left over hanging there, but there's not product for you to buy. And that is really, really annoying for collectors, myself included. I mean, I've been collecting and toy hunting just as long as even longer than I've been in the industry. I was doing this way back in high school. I didn't start in the industry till well after college. So, decades and decades of toy hunting. And yeah, finding an empty pallet, an empty display that says it should have your product and it's not there, yeah, not exactly good times, right? All right, so the question is, why does this happen? Why can't stores just be fully fully full, fully stocked all the time? Is it really that hard of an ask? I mean, I want to come give you my money. You want to sell me product. Isn't that the deal between consumer and retailer? Retailer, why won't you let me give me my money? All right, well, let's get into it. And I want to brace this with something very specific. I'm sort of going to open and close this video with some nerdy quotes here. And the one to start this with is, all I'm bringing you guys is the truth here. You may not like it. You may be like, that's not fair or that's not right. But all I'm offering is the truth. And if you want to take your pill and we'll go down the rabbit hole together, I will try to explain this. So let's use an example. Let's talk about Hot Wheels, kind of the other collectible toy outside of action figures. Now, for us action figure collectors, we look at the Hot Wheel aisle. We look at this row of product here, and probably either say not for me or that's for kids. Not interested in it. I'm an action figure collector, not a Hot Wheels collector. This guy, on the other hand, this guy's a Hot Wheels collector. He views the Hot Wheels aisle the same way that we view the action figure aisle. That's where he goes to find his hidden treasure. In fact, Mattel even caters to this type of collector, specifically by putting product called treasure hunts in their line, which are, limited, hard-to-find cars on limited edition packaging that appeals to, the adult collector for Hot Wheels, just like we're the adult collectors for action figures. It's funny how, like, oil and vinegar, right? Like, we don't really mix. You either collect one or the other. You rarely find people that collect both. There are some. I'm not saying there aren't, but it is interesting. And, the likelihood of a kid winding up with a treasure hunt vehicle is very small. It's going to be snatched up. But this is where I think everyone can kind of agree, is that at the end of the day, the vast majority of Hot Wheels wind up with kids and are played with by kids versus adult collectors. Not that adult collectors don't buy some of them. And it's kind of the pivoting point, the reality check I'm trying to present for adult collectors of action figures is that it's the same way. Even if the product feels like it's made for us, like a treasure hunt car for a Hot Wheels collector, or this, Vankman retro figure for Ghostbusters, these toys are still meant for kids. And the proof is that they're sold at mass retail. Any toy sold at mass retail is meant for children. Yes, it's great when collectors can come along too and be gravy, but, if let's look at some charts here. So look, this one is showing America's most popular gifts, and I mean, even showing toys are way down there. And even if you're looking at toys as a category, when you're looking at toys, action figures are a very, very small part of the toy category. The vast majority are preschool toys and outdoor toys. Dolls, puzzles even come in before that. And then if you're going to look at toys and games as a piece of a retailer's pie, well, it's a small portion. It's not even close to being, in the top 10. If you look, that last graph was Amazon, this is eBay, and same thing. The vast, majority of product is not toys and games. It's this tiny little pink slice here, represents all toys and all games. Or let's look at Walmart.com. Toys don't even make the top 10 as far as a category that they sell. So while we love action figures and we love toys, a big part of the reality check is that toys are a very small category, and within toys, action figures are a very small category. Pretty much electronics tends to be the only one that's smaller than action figures as far as overall sales. So what does all this mean? The fact that toys represent such a small part of overall products sold, and then within the toy category, the fact that action figures are such a small category, is directly relevant to why we see empty pegs at retail. And let me explain this a little further. All right, so let's say you're a big retailer and you have a big truck, and you need to fill that truck up with product to sell in your store. What are you going to put in that truck? Well, based on all the graphs we just looked at, do action figures make the most sense? I mean, yes, you do have action figures you sell and you need to keep them on shelf, but even within the toy category, the numbers don't lie. Action figures are a smaller part of sales. Even if you're going to fill that truck up with toys, filling it up with action figures is not, from a business standpoint, the greatest plan. In fact, filling it with toilet paper is probably the best idea, because that's something that you're going to sell a ton of every week, because almost all consumers who come in at weekly are going to be buying something like toilet paper or paper towels or tissues, paper goods, if you will. I'm using toilet paper to represent that. As an action figure collector myself, I know that when a new toy comes out, we feel like we're the center of the universe, and that everything is about getting that new toy, and it's the most important thing. And we may even wake up early for work or school and drive out looking for the latest collectibles that we feel were designed, created, skewed, merch, shipped to retail, put on the pegs, and available just for us. But looking at the crowds inside of stores, how many of these people, all these people in stores, do you think are shopping not just for action figures, but for adult collector action figures? Out of all the people that come in throughout the whole course of the day, what percentage do you think are looking for action figures, adult collector action figures, or rather action figures that we're going to put on our shelf? And on top of that, the other factor you have to deal with is the sneaky guy, the scalper, if you will. And that is a major factor. And I know it's very annoying. I know it, when you see this stuff showing up on eBay. But the reason that, I guess you could say the system works in favor of toy scalpers is because it only takes one scalper to come in and clear out all the pegs. In other words, or even one collector, like if a new wave of Marvel Legends comes along and you want the Build-A-Figure, you're going to buy every figure that was in the case pack so that you could make that Build-A-Figure. So whether it's a scalper or a legitimate collector, all it takes is one to clear out those pegs. And eventually, the leftovers will start to accumulate for kids or for later purchases by collectors. But that one collector, that one scalper, whoever it is that comes in, has the ability to buy every single figure in the case pack. And that's why the pegs get empty, because adult collectors and or scalpers tend to buy everything in one shot. And now some stores do try to combat this, and they'll say things like limit one per customer, or one of each character per customer. And this can work in some instances. But again, like with Marvel Legends here, if you want to buy the whole wave and get that Build-A-Figure, then you're going to get the full order. You're going to get everything that is on the pegs and clean them out in one swoop. So why can't they just replenish these pegs very quickly? Well, that's the other part of it. The logistics of getting product from vendors overseas, shipped over, cleared through ports, brought to distribution centers, and then distributed to individual retailers is complex. Let's, as an example, use the Wind Raider. This was a toy Mattel sold on Matty Collector a few years ago. When we ordered this, just for round number, let's say we ordered 50,000 units. I'm making that up for the sake of a round number. Well, we only got a very tiny amount of our order, call it 2,000 units out of 50,000 for the day of sale. And it sold out immediately because we only had 2,000 units. We didn't get our full order. And all the fans online said, oh, it's a sellout. It's huge. It was a giant hit. But I was kind of banging my head against the wall going like, no, it only sold out because we only got like 1% of our order in. Sometimes that happens. You order a large amount from a vendor, but because of the logistics, a million different factors could happen, and your product doesn't come on time. And that can result in empty pegs too. It's not like the vendor did this on purpose, but everything from ships to ocean weather to plastic production, the availability of materials. There's so many different factors that could throw off an order. And that's exactly what happened with the Wind Raider. We eventually got all of our Wind Raiders, but it took a long time. All right, so a quick recap. So first off, as noted, in the industry, toys are a very small category. There's way more product categories that sell better than toys for, many reasons. Not just, food and paper goods that have to be replenished every week. Toys in a lot of ways are a luxury item. The second issue is logistics, that it can take a long time for product to get to shelf, and there's a million factors that could knock it off of the original, date that it's supposed to arrive. And I can't even tell you how many times things go haywire and they don't go to plan. And it can be frustrating, especially because you could get chargebacks from the retailer. It can throw off promotions. Sometimes you have to airship product to meet deadlines, which is incredibly expensive. Sometimes it can be more expensive than the cost of the product. There's all sorts of, the reason air shipping even exists and is used is because this happens. Things go haywire all the time. And if you have a promotion and you need product on shelf, you might have to do that. So at the end, a lot of this is about managing expectations. As I mentioned, whether it's a collector or a scalper coming in, if they find a fresh case pack, they're likely to buy everything, and that's going to leave the pegs empty. And it could be a while until those pegs get filled again. And that's what creates disappointment, is we're expecting pegs to always be filled. The reality is, for many reasons, people buying all of them, stuff getting to it, it can't always happen. And it's also, I said I was going to end this with a nerd quote, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, or the one, as Spock said. And that's how a retailer is going to look at their store, or the owner. Are they going to fill up their truck with adult action figures to sell, or are they going to fill it up with toilet paper or apples or bread or things that people buy every day? Action figures and toys just don't sell in the numbers to justify, if you will, space in every delivery truck. They have to prioritize items that are going to sell out faster. All right, I hope this video answered your questions about why pegs get emptied and why it can take a while to fill them up. If I missed anything, leave them in the comments below, and I'll try to get to them or make follow-up videos. Thank you so much for your subscription, for your like, and I'll see you guys around the toy aisles. Thanks for watching.